YouTube, it's your girl Honey. Today we're doing a very different video, talking a little bit about Saturn themed relationships, and what's inspired this video actually is my relationship. So I think it was last week or so, I posted a status on my Facebook, and I literally just posted it for bants. Like, I said something along the lines of, my boyfriend just said to me that he leads in this relationship, and I've got my Aries sun and my Mars in Aquarius, and he thinks he leads, but ha 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 ha, he. Whatever it was something along those lines. It wasn't like a very serious status. And some people laughed and whatever, and other people kind of asked me, well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with him leading? What's wrong with the man leading? What's wrong with this? And what's the issue? He's not controlling, is he? And I was just like, whoa. I didn't mean for anything to get deep like this. And I found myself having to validate my relationship, but that's not what I put out there. But it's like, I don't look like I'm defending something which I don't need to defend, because I didn't put myself out there like that. And I think it was a little bit misconstrued, but that's okay. These things happen because it's Facebook, honey. And when you are communicating online, these things happen. So I had to make a video because I feel that my relationship themes are very important to discuss or use as an example when it comes to what you're looking for in a relationship as well. So let's just get started, honey. So the thing is with Saturn is rules, regulations, responsibilities. Saturn is, I call him the old man, and he comes in because he's teaching you a motherfucking lesson. And when I met my partner, those of you should remember, I made a video just over a year ago titled How to Use Astrology to Attract Your Partner. And I was so happy. I was so, oh my God, I love him. And I'm still in that place. It's just more Saturn now, okay? Now, when I met my partner, I had Saturn transiting through my 7th house, and it was just leaving. Now, my partner is a whole 8 years older than I am. He's old, okay? He's got square Neptune coming. You know, he's got some shit coming for his ass. This is a completely different relationship compared to what I've had. And I'm so used to Venus relationships. And what I mean by that is Libra, which rules Venus, is in my 5th house. And the 5th house is the house of fun, honey. This is the house of Leo. So most of the people that I date have been Leos. And they've been very childish, very immature, fucking low vibrational Leos. And also Libras as well. And I realized that this is not what I'm looking for, because my moon is the emotional fulfillment. And my moon was like, nah, honey, like, you need some maturity, some longevity. You need someone who's got the same values and goals as you, because you're goal oriented. My Mars is in my 10th house. I'm attracted to a man who's in power. So what had happened was I got exactly what I asked for, basically. Yeah. In our synastry, we have a lot of Saturn aspects, and we've got lots of Pluto. We've got quite a bit of Pluto, but a lot of the suppression is on myself. Because in most relationships, one person is being a little bit suppressed. I hope it's not a lot for some of you guys out there, but one person is being more suppressed than the other. I think because I have quite a lot of rebellious energy within me, it's more of a harder transition for me than it is for him. Now, for example, if you're a woman who has strong Aries energy, strong Aquarius energy, and even strong Virgo energy, part of you makes it harder to date you. Not that it's hard to love you. That's not the case at all. It's more so like it being a long-term relationship with you, because you're stuck to your own ways. Maybe even a Capricorn woman as well. Your moon is your emotional fulfillment, and your moon has to be emotionally fulfilled in its relationships in order for it to feel happy. Now, my moon is my moon's a Capricorn moon, and my degree is very close to where most people in my generation will have their Neptune and they're Uranus and also Saturn as well. So most people that I would date tend to bring a lot of heavy energy on my moon, and they restrict my moon's expression. And I'm an 8th house moon. So my moon is trying to go through a transition, like, let me transform my emotions, my home, you know, how I want to be living, my emotional security and fulfillment. Let me do that. Don't restrict that. Most people I date do that to me because I'm from the same generation as them. Now, when you date someone who's much older or much younger than you, Saturn obviously spends 2.5 years per sign. So Saturn isn't going to aspect my moon the same. My partner's Saturn squares my sun. And let me just tell you something, honey, because Saturn squares, oppositions, conjunctions aren't always bad. Not always. Now, one of the main reasons why I completely fell in love with my partner was that I've never met someone so emotionally supportive. I remember, like, we went through a horrible ordeal last year. I've never been emotionally supported in that way in my life. Like, a man talking to you and really allowing you to process your emotions. And I thought, wow, this is fucking crazy. How the hell has he managed to do this? This is really weird. And this is down to Saturn. Because remember I said Saturn can go left or right, honey. And in that situation, it definitely went right. Because what happened was, or what could happen when you have Saturn squaring someone's moon, is they are restricting your emotional expression. So if he has a really bad Saturn, or let's say if his Saturn is aspecting my moon, right? It's like, well, why are you crying? You shouldn't be upset for that. Why do you feel that way? That's what Saturn does. And it kind of restricts you from wanting to emotionally express yourself. But it's different for me being a Capricorn moon, because I always want to be thinking about, instead of me crying and bitching about this, how can I fix it anyway? So when it came to his square, he's expressing himself like, don't worry, we're going to get through this. We're going to be fine, XYZ. I felt like I can be a lot more emotionally expressive now. Also got his grumpy old Saturn aspecting my Mercury. Now, how this goes left and how this goes right is fucking crazy. Now, Mercury is your communication, how you process information, and it's what you do on a daily fucking basis. And one issue that we have got is, don't tell me how to iron my fucking clothes. Don't tell me how to fucking use a fucking Hoover. Yes, that's exactly what Saturn does, because it's the old fucking restrictive old man telling little old Mercury, you know, how to do things. I get irritated by this shit, man. I get so irritated because Mercury is every day. So Saturn becomes a, you know, I'm going to tell you how to do things every day. I'm going to show you what to do every day, because you can't do your daily routines without me. That's what Saturn can do. We've got difficult Mercury aspects, which can be conjunctions, oppositions, squares. You may feel like, God, I can't communicate right now. I can't, you know, I'm not being listened to. They're telling me that I'm speaking incorrectly or trying to govern how I verbally express myself. I feel restricted in my throat, in my expression. Let's not talk about that right now. We'll talk about that later. Like a complete bitch, I want to say what I want to say and you're stopping me. Saturn can have that way about it where it just stops you from saying what you want to say, because old man Saturn is saying, nah, not yet. When I'm ready, we'll talk. Again, control. Saturn can also do this where it's like, well, I can see you're very erratic. I'm going to give you some structure in your life. I want to show you how to work in a comfortable environment, how to brush your teeth, but in ways where it actually gets whiter and cleaner. I'm going to show you there's more so Saturn bringing structure to that person's life, everyday life, than just nitpicking and telling them you can't do that, you're doing this wrong. Saturn's the judge. So you've got to look about things like that, because Saturn can be good and bad. Saturn aspecting Venus. I don't have this one personally, but I do see a lot in synastry charts. Venus is our love, our romance, how we are committed. It's also how we express ourselves. And imagine being the Venus woman, and you do your makeup, and you do your hair, your eyebrows, and you dress yourself. Because Venus is how you want to look, right? Saturn aspecting that person. Venus is in a challenging aspect. You might get someone the Saturn person will say, well, why do you wear lipstick? Why are you dressed that way? Stop dressing like that. Don't wear those clothes. You're very flirty. You were chatting to that guy for way too long. And it's like the Venus is just expressing itself, because this is our loves. Anything that we love to do. Saturn is like trying to structure, judge us in the process. It's not a nice feeling. But also it's like Venus wants the judge to love me, right? But Saturn's like, you've had enough love today, relax, you're doing too much. The Venus person can lack or feel like they're lacking that love from Saturn. But then when Saturn is in a good aspect, sextile, trine even, okay, you can pretty much get someone who is very, who brings the structure. So it's like teaching that person what commitment is like, you know, teaching them how to manage their money better, how to invest their money. There may be that feeling of, I feel so secure with you. Oh my God, I'm really loving how this relationship is going, because I feel a sense of stability and security. Venus trine Saturn, there's a lot to do with commitment. And again, I'm from the generation where Saturn was in Capricorn. And I can't lie, the men who have had their Venus in Taurus that I've met are a completely different type of men. Completely different type of man. And I strongly believe it's to do with, you know, my Saturn, my personal Saturn anyway, interacting with their natal Venus. When you have Sun aspecting Saturn, Saturn can bring like sadness, depression, and feeling very restrictive. And I have Saturn square my Sun natally, which can be sad. But again, I've got an Aries Sun, so it's not the worst. But sometimes when you've got Saturn square when you got harsh aspects to someone's Sun, squares could be conjunctions, oppositions at times. That's where you kind of get somebody who can restrict your expression. I've read a lot of Saturn square Sun charts in synastry. And remember, your Sun is your soul's purpose. It's your ego. It's your expression, your consciousness, your confidence. And Saturn squares, the Saturn person can really make you feel like, you're making it hard for me to reach my goal. You're making it hard for me to really express myself, making it hard for me to try new things, because again, it's my confidence to try new things. You seem to be judging and saying things like, oh honey, you're not going to be good at that, you shouldn't do that. It does shit like that. It makes it hard for you to really recognize that I can be my authentic self. Why are you telling me what I should and shouldn't be doing? When you've got a trine to Saturn, it more so trine sextile as well, sometimes conjunction. It more so shows that there is a mature vibe to us. I see you, you see me, we see each other. We're very mature. There's almost this feeling of we've got things to do together. Because remember, Saturn is about working towards things. So you always get this, damn, like, okay, you know, I want to get to the head of my department, and you're talking to your partner about it, and your partner is giving you very good qualities about yourself and saying, yep, you can make it as long as you know, do this and you do that. What do you think about this? There's that need to work together. And one thing that you do need in relationships is Saturn aspects, because when you have two people that are consciously aware of compromise, okay, and they're willing to compromise, you have two people that will definitely go the mile. Saturn is always about working towards, whether it's a square, a conjunction, an opposition, you name it, in conjunction, yeah? It's always about trying to get there. In conjunction, maybe not so much because you're always unconscious of that kind of energy, but the other aspects, most of the time, yeah. That other person has to be willing to work with you. That's the only way it would ever really work, if the other person is working with you. Now, me and my partner have Saturn square Pluto in our synastry, which is pretty ugly. Yeah, it's ugly. It's ugly because you have two planets that represent control, and they are aspecting each other like this. So you have two people who are trying to be in control here. And how things are in my relationship, and to be fair, this is quite traditional, but this is what I believe strongly works, right? There is just this fear that, is that person going to try to control me? Are they going to try and control me? I can't control someone. And what you got to work on when you have Pluto square Saturn aspects is you've got to work on both parties respecting your position, whatever your position might be. Your position, maybe your partner is leading you somewhere, and your position is to follow them, but to support them along the way. Carry the bags, the baggage, financially help them, whatever it is. That person, these two people require mutual respect. And that's how this energy works, is through mutual respect, not competing and fighting about who's in power. And this is the thing, like, we don't argue about power struggles or things like that. We argue about respect. Because at the end of the day, that's what that is what that energy is going to bring in your relationships is power struggles. Who is in control here? Even when you've got Mars aspects as well, you know, negative Mars aspects. Mars is your motivation, it's your drive, it's your temperament, your reactions, response. Saturn, harsh Saturn aspects can create difficulties in how that person is reacting to things. So it's like, you know, someone has, imagine driving, right, and someone really badly cuts you up, and you know how it is in the streets. You get mad sometimes you got road rage, sometimes you don't. But your initial reaction is to fucking respond now. So you roll up next to that fucker, you roll that window down, well, we got buttons now, but you roll that window down and you say, you motherfucker, you da-da-da-da. Like, you're out in that window, honey. Now your Saturn square is sat next to you, and they say some shit to you like, why would you do that? You're so embarrassing. What's your fucking problem? There's just this restriction. Stop reacting, stop it, come here, stop doing that. And now you feel like, well, I'm not getting the support that I thought I could have got from you. Where's my support? Again, this is what Saturn does. Saturn makes you feel like they're not supporting you, they're judging you. And when you've got a really good energy to your Mars, you're likely to have somebody support you in that situation, or talk you through, babe, that's not how you deal with it. Next time we'll try to resolve the issue. There's more so talking about how you're reacting to things and guiding you, because at the end of the day, Saturn is about growth and direction. You've got someone that's actually guiding you to be successful or to react better, but not judging you or making you feel like you're being judged in the process. Long-term relationships, right? Saturn has to be involved. It has to be involved. And it can be involved in any of those aspects. Any of those aspects. Because those aspects will show that yes, there's a restriction. Yes, there may feel like it's a barrier or a blockage. That person is willing to compromise, because that's the main thing here, is compromising. They will recognize, okay, let me try and work with my partner and we can kind of get through things a whole lot better. And when you think about Saturn through the houses, Saturn in every house is going to offer that person that restriction in that house. That Saturn person is going to try to want to fix that house for them. Past judgment, it happens. Past judgment. Also not feel like you're not always in support here. Or it may just take a longer time to reap the rewards through this house together. It all depends on what house that person's Saturn falls in on your chart. So Saturn's not doom and gloom, and I don't look at it as doom and gloom. I just look at it as restrictive, but obviously everyone's relationship is very different to the next, okay? So I do synastry readings and I do relationship readings. I do all sorts on my website. I recommend you guys check it out if you want to. And I look forward to hearing your Saturn experiences in the comments below. And I wish you guys a wonderful week. And I will see you on the next one, people. Take care. Bye.